What's going on, guys? Back out at Buxton Woods again, my favorite local course. Gonna be trying some different lines today because what else is the point of playing a practice round if you're not gonna try stuff? I didn't try my new play because of the wind on hole one here. Ended up kind of typical position. I got a good kick out of the tree and left me at the mouth of the tunnel. This is what I've been going with a lot here is the forehand roller. It's still a work in progress for me. This one was okay, sheared a couple trees and you probably lose sight of it back there a bit, but it kicks off to the right of the green. Uh, Not a big gap, but big enough to flip my A2 up through, leaving me, I don't know, 15 feet for my first putt of the round. Luckily, I warmed up quite a bit before this one, so I was feeling pretty good. My putting was really good all day. So, hole two, dog leg left around the corner. I just never seemed to get there, and in the wind today, I played it even more safe than usual. Just played a hyzer up there. I probably should just try a mid to the mouth there for the easiest approach, but I can pretty consistently get to the basket from over here. This is pretty close to what happens most tournaments for me and end up just having a tap in there. Three, back up to the right, overturned my MD3 a bit here and got a okay kick back to the path. I'm just kind of pinched off a little bit. I take my A3 here and just try and flip it through the goalpost. Luckily, well, I'm a little ahead of myself there, but luckily I got up there pretty easily and left myself just a tap in with the A2 for my par. Hole four, ran into some guys who let me play through. That was nice. So threw a quick shot here. I threw a CD2 this time. I was aiming for the low right gap to kind of skip up there, and I just missed by a bit. You could probably hear me asking it to turn over. But again, I've been feeling my putts lately, and this whole round I felt them a lot. I just knew I was going to make these 35, 38 footers and walked up and canned both of them. This is a tough birdie for me. It's not one I usually get, so it always feels good. Hole five's in the long left position for those who know the course. My play is the same kind of regardless of pin location on this hole. I pump my Enigma up there, hit the gap. Left me a good look down the tunnel. You're going to lose sight of this pretty quick, and I did too because of the light dark change in the hill. So it took me a while to even find my disc. I didn't hear it hit anything, so I knew I was down there, and it took me a while to find it because I was out the back side. Probably 25 feet here for a really amazing birdie for me. I don't birdie this hole hardly ever. I mean, maybe 10% of the time I play it. So that was great. Yeah, a little fired up. I don't birdie that one much. I was pretty animated this round. Those who've watched me or know me know that that's kind of my MO anyway. Six, one of the hardest holes in the entire state in the par 4 position. I'm tired of missing trying to backhand up the middle, so I wanted to try the roller play, even though the fairway drifts the wrong way. And that one didn't really work. I hit the early tree. I threw like 3 of those rollers and hit that same tree with each of them, and then cut off my second one a little too short to the left. Didn't get enough angle on it. The basket's maybe only 150 feet from me right now off to the right, but I don't have a good angle, so I do this lean out forehand, and I just nicked this little skinny tree as I was curving back towards the green. Left me probably 40 feet, but with a really low ceiling, lower than it looks. Those branches are right in my normal putting line, and I just didn't have enough height to feel comfortable, and it showed. But it left me, a pretty easy bogey save. Bogey is not even a bad score on this hole in most of the tournaments I play at this point. I've been meaning to try this and literally have never thrown the roller on hole 7 with the basket down to the left. And again, not even a good one. It had a weird skip, and then it cut a little early of the tunnel, and you barely at the end can see it rolling back to the right there. But it took me a while to find it again because it wasn't where I thought it was. It had sheared off to the right here. Left me maybe 20 feet below the basket for a birdie on this hole. I think this roller play might be decently consistent as long as I can keep it going down the fairway, and then it'll hit something over there. Since it's going to curl up, it's less likely to go long if it gets through clean like the backhand does. And I don't really like being down the hill because the trees below are really tight. Eight's back uphill. You can see how windy it was today. It was 15, 17 mile an hour gusts out in the open. My Emperor went up and down and rode around, nicked the tree, which kicked me to a pretty good spot for an easy little flick approach, and basically a tap in par. 9, the big bomber hole in the course, and the wind was bananas. Ripped my DD3, and I kept it low and flat like I wanted. It was kind of a right to left tail here, and you can see it just kicked my disc way off to the left, but it left me farther than I've ever been on this hole. The wind really helped me get down there. Had to go to a knee and had this branch in my face, but I had a couple pretty wide open gaps there to go up to this basket and didn't really have any trouble getting it right next to it. So that's a rewarding par. That played as a par 4 in a couple of the NADGT tournaments, and it was kind of fair as a 4. It feels like a bonus birdie when you get it. 10's back uphill to the right there. Wrist rolled my forehand, as I often do when I try and throw it too hard. Left me a really awkward putt with the trees guarding it, so I still gave it way too much hyzer. If I'd kept it low, I think it could have gotten past and gotten in, but I just, not with the height I put on my distance putts. But still an easy par. 11, one of the signature holes here, straight up the hill to the basket hanging on the cord. I threw this D1 in a tournament the other day and threw it in the pond, so I was nervous I was doing that again here, but it got up to the top level and was at maybe 25 feet in this bush. And I set up for a while here. It took me a little bit to find the footing I wanted and whether I wanted to try and lean back and stagger out or straddle wide, and uphill to the basket, and I hit it. I was probably more excited than I should have been for that, but at the time it just felt like my putting and everything was clicking and my mistakes were working out, so I was pretty happy about that. 12's big hyzer shot. It was windy as heck, so I dissed up to my moreover stable PD here, and I barely got it out far enough and was kind of in a wide step out uphill here from behind the little tree, and I was totally a makeable putt, and I just goofed it and then tried to make my correction and overcorrected. "13, the wind's really in play again. As you can see, it was a left or right head. I threw my Halo Wraith on a bunch of hyzer, and it just held its line the entire way, and then just took off. I was a little worried it was going to get all the way to the forest, but it didn't. It was sitting right behind the stump here. Had forehand or backhand approaches and figured this was a good time to practice both and see what I might use. In this case, the forehand actually ended up closer, but it looked a lot worse. The backhand was a little bit of a throw-in run, but this wasn't a big deal. Out of the wind again, the putts are a little bit easier. But no real reprieve since 14 is out here in the clear cut, and it was almost straight tailwind. I was going to throw my FD2, and I just thought with the tailwind I would end up in the woods, so I went down to my Night Strike 3, gave it enough hyzer that it just rode straight, and it pushed and pushed and pushed, and then sliced in here right at the tunnel mouth. I knew it was one of the first times I'd actually penetrated into the woods there, but as with before, you get down here and you're not left with much because of this raised basket, so I flipped out, leaving myself a pretty easy 12-foot tap in on the raised basket, and I just walked up and took no time and bricked it. That's why you should take your time, kids. But I was feeling my putt, and I was definitely feeling like a rhythm putter, and just goofed there, just mental mistake. 15, I've only played this from the short from the last while. I've only played one tournament from the long in the last year, so it's just a little forehand. Try and make a skip ace. This goes to the right of the tree, but at the end here you can see it rolls back, which left me again another pretty easy putt. And I didn't change my rhythm or anything. I just didn't let the last hole affect me, which is good. 16, this tunnel haunts me. I always hit one of these field goal trees, so today I went down to the link. You kind of lose sight of it, but you can see it hit the tree on the right, and then it kind of faded to the left. And I honestly got as far with my link here hitting that tree as I usually ever get when I try and make the gap, but it left me absolutely nothing. It's hard to tell how much this tree in front of me is in my way, but I had to hit a gap through the branches there. Again, left myself a pretty easy 15-footer for par. Didn't take enough time and just shanked it. And you can see here with my frustrated second putt, just how easily I just toss it at the basket. That's how close I was. Just brain fart after a round of good putting. 17, blind over the trees and back down the hill. My FD2 was the choice this time, and it split the gap really nicely. I had no idea where this was, and it took me a while to find it again because it was behind this tree, and I didn't get down far enough. But once I got down there, I found myself with maybe 20 feet in the wind. But luckily, still feeling pretty well even with the miss, and I canned the one that matters. So down to 18. It's not this short basket here that you see. It's a dog leg left down the tunnel. Again, big tailwind. I actually walked out to see what it was like out there and threw my flippy D1. I didn't get a lot of it, but the wind carried it all the way down to the far side of the mouth of the tunnel. Went to my Justice here because I was worried about not being stable enough. And it luckily was stable enough, but I was, man, 20 feet long again and on the downslope towards the basket. But with one of my better rounds at this course on the line, felt pretty nice to finish it off. Bonk. So again, -3, good day for me. I've played similar rounds here before. This one, just my putting felt really good, and some of my mistakes were not as mistakey as they often can be. I didn't kick too deep in the woods. So thanks for coming along again, guys. There's a little bonus at the end here when I was practicing after the round.